Hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. Here at Dynamo, we are really pleased that you could join us, where we will be speaking to you about what's new in Revit AEC 2021 for Generative Design for Architects and Interior Designers. My name is Brooke LaRue, and I am the Key Account Manager for Modern AEC, and I will be co-hosting this session today. Now I would like to introduce you to today's presenter, Michiel Odendaal. Michiel is an application engineer within the architecture and interior design industries. During this week, we have hosted a total of 10 webinars where we show some of the new features available in the Autodesk 2021 software releases, as well as the webinar on our 3D laser scanning. If you would like to watch a replay of these webinars, a link will be added in the chat box now. This webinar will be recorded, and it will be sent to you in the next day or so to recap on what we have covered today. And if you would like to share it with any of your colleagues who weren't able to attend, please feel free to do so. If you have any questions during this webinar, please post your question or comment in the chat box or Q&A section, and one of our technical assistants will be able to answer it for you. We would love to hear your feedback at the end of this session. A short survey will automatically pop up where you will be able to provide us with some valuable feedback. We will be also selecting 5 lucky participants at random from each webinar to receive a free workshop on our online training platform. You can find more information about these online workshops following the link shared in the chat. We will also be running 3 polls during this webinar, and we would really appreciate your participation with these. So without any further delays, let's get started. Over to you, Michiel.
Hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar. Just to start things off, I want to do quickly a poll just to see who's who in here. So, we can see quite a few people have quite some Revit experience that is attending today. A few of you guys have started looking into some Dynamo. Majority of the polls basically just looks at Revit experience and have a look at Dynamo. And then a few people have also started playing with Project Refinery or Generative Design inside Revit. I'm going to close the poll now. And just for you guys to quickly see the polls, what we've received. And we have 1 student, congratulations. So to carry on, I guess we can't have a little bit of a talk about generative design without understanding where it comes from. I think it's a new term in the industry, or relatively new. A lot of people have heard of it, but haven't really seen what it's capable of or where it fits into it. So for me, it's always quite an easy way of seeing where this tool sits by looking at the history of design tools. So when kind of this idea of architectural design or interior space design, structural engineering happened, it was done with the pencil or the pen. As technology progressed, we got the drawing table, which later on became our computers, which ultimately was our 2D environment, AutoCAD, and as such. The software progressed into kind of our 3D modeling space, where we could start generating components in a real scale environment, not just flat 2D space. And that ultimately transformed into a parametric modeling environment, where we could now give values with high depth to objects to actually play with it in a faster way, in a quicker way. And currently in our industry, this is where most people sit with 3D modeling and parametric modeling. And then the next step is looking at generative design. And that's where we're looking at when we talk about generative design. It's a tool for designers, for engineers, for architects, for interior designers that will assist them in designing better in the future. So to show you a little bit of where it fits into place, we have a designer that with a given set of parameters will generate a limited amount of designs. Now these designs is, as I always like to say, is in one day you could produce 30 designs. They might be unique, they might not be as unique, but they are generally quite good. but you can't explore every option available to you. But what if we could take our designer's parameters and give it to a computer? Can the computer do a lot more with our values? So now we've got a computer, we're taking our parameters, and the computer is generating a variety of options on our behalf. Now it's not designing for us, we still stipulate what the parameters are, but the computer is just doing all the crunch work. And that is where generative design sits. And there's the space where the computer just takes our design and give us different options to look at. So at the end of the day is when we start looking at generative design, it's a co-creation between a computer machine and the human. And it's not a neither nor situation. Now, I've got another poll here that is a little bit more, I want to say, kind of on the question of, do you think generative design can assist your environment? And I'll give this also a minute or so to just pull up. I like this crowd. It's very optimistic at this point. I'll just give it 10 more seconds for the last 10 people to vote quickly. Okay, just to share the results with everyone. So you can see majority of the people say yes, it's the way forward. It is something we need to look into. A few people said no, it might be a little bit too daunting at this point for the industry, and it's maybe too early to investigate this. And a handful of people said unsure. They just want to see more about it, understand it better. Okay, so we'll now look into kind of what makes Revit 21 so special. And it's basically you got generative design as part of your tools, as part of your product series within the AEC collection. So the tool is now available for you guys to start delving into it, start using it to actually assist in your everyday design and program environment. So a little bit of what the tool looks like. So under your Manage tab, you'll find the new two buttons, Create Study, Explore Outcomes. Now the Create Study has your typical studies you want to generate. Now the three standard ones that it comes with generative design is the ones we'll look into and kind of what they do if you haven't explored them yet. And then you also have a little bit of a help file at the bottom just to show you how to add your own projects. So once you've basically selected a study, in this case, I've grabbed the workspace layout, and that is to generate tables and desks based on the room to make it the most optimized environment. So you'll have typically your select elements from your model, either the item, the constraints, the room, or your the family that you want to make kind of move around or be placed. And then the big item is the goals. This is your defined design criteria that the computer needs to either minimize or maximize. And once you're happy, you can generate. And at the end of it, after the generating process, you'll get just results, a data table that'll help you to identify what designs will meet your criteria at the end of the day that you want to take further. And you'll see this in this next video that I'll show now. So your end results will also, the Explore Outcomes environment will basically take your design, give you your spaces, your kind of layout you're looking at, and at the bottom you get your filter and rank results, and that is where you can explore different options. On your right-hand tab, there's a details panel that'll just give you kind of your evaluation scores and your Explore Outcomes. The nice feature for me about this is once you've made a decision, you can say create Revit element and it will automatically populate inside your Revit environment. So the first example is the furniture layout. Now, as I open it up, you can see I'll select the workspace layout and just start completing some information. So under the method, I'm only going to look at optimized at this point, as that is kind of the contradiction pool. For instance, if you had to calculate the FAR versus the cost of the building, naturally the bigger floor area ratio you have, the higher the cost, where optimize will look for the in between one. Now, what I've done was I've tried to do an optimized version of maximizing the amount of desks, maximizing the views to outside, but minimizing the path to the closest door. And you can see all the results I'm getting. And from our solutions at the bottom, we can do filters to see which gives us the biggest number of desks, and then maybe which gives us the best views to outside. And from this point on, we can do a selection. You alternatively have the, what do you call it, the graph with the point graph, where you can also choose your X and Y axis. You can choose your size of what the dots should be. So in this case, the bigger the dots, the better the views to outside is, and things like that. And based on this selection, you could also do optioneering of what your choices are. So once you're happy, you can basically just say create Revit elements. And depending on the complexity of your generative design script, it could take some time to populate. But there we go. Our furniture pieces have been loaded into our project. Okay, so that was the first script. The second one is the maximizing views. So for furniture piece to the window. So basically, in this script, you select your element you want to calculate the view from. So in this case, that table and chairs, that is my element I want to look to place in the best location. Those are the windows that I want to have a look at. And it should move within this room environment. And then lastly, any obstructions, there might be columns or other furniture pieces that you need to select. And in this case, I want to maximize my views and my angle to my windows. And again, generate. With the generating of your scripts, currently it's all done on a local environment. So it uses your PC's, your own computer's resources to generate these results. Now, as you can see, we've got all these kind of points generated that will give us the best results. And again, now we can just do a filter, which ones gives us the best views to outside. There's two of the options. And we can have a look around if it does meet our criteria. And again, once we're happy, and we say create element, Revit element, it'll actually move our furniture piece to the new location. Simple enough, I want to say, but it feels like it's an easy task just to move the table and chair to a new location. But you can actually see if it's a more complex room layout, maybe there's a lot more objects in the way, it might become a lot more complicated. And to find that perfect ratio can take a person traditionally quite a long period to develop or to find, where with generative design, it becomes quite easy. The last one is looking at the 3-box massing. Now, once you basically ran the script, it'll give you different box options. And then from this point, you can just say create a mass in your Revit environment. And this eventually you can build into your building. Now, again, the mass is just an exploration of the tools. So it is not necessarily the final mass you were looking at, but more of a, does it meet my floor area ratio? Does it meet the criteria of minimum facade layout in order to ensure that the project cost doesn't run overboard or over and above what it should be? The second section I want to look into is how do you actually start off? So it's great, those 3 data sets are there, you guys can use it, it's quite easy. But what if I want to do my own stuff for the office? What if we need to start exploring these for different environments? Now, Generative Design has a pre-installed version for Dynamo 2.5, which will create basically a new tab at the top of the in your top ribbon. So once you have a Dynamo script set up, in this case, I've taken one from the MATLAB arsenal from Refinery. And basically all you do is once your script is completed, you say Generative Design, host it, or create a copy of it. You can have a little bit of a title, a description, and an image of what you want to have inside there. And then basically say export. So once it's exported, you can basically close down Dynamo, and from your Revit environment, again, you can create study. And this Dynamo script, basically what it does, it will take all your objects that you've selected and place them in a room environment by clustering them. Now, in this case, I've selected a bunch of trees. They're just slightly off to the left in the 3D view. And I want to place them randomly around the building. And there we go again. We can see the variety of options we have. Now, again, here you can go and say, give me a large selection of elements or a small selection. And once you're happy, you can say generate. And that will then populate our area with a random set of or grouping of information. Now, what's nice about this is you can use it with any kind of object. It doesn't need to be trees, it can be your entourage, vehicles, or whatever the case might be, if you just want to do something random. So some of the benefits when you start looking at generative design, it's basically, as a designer, you get the power of computation. The power of your computer can actually start being more beneficial to you. You're getting more options or ranges of information to start investigating what is the best solution. You get insight into kind of different relationship studies, more parking, less parking, higher cost building, smaller FAR. And based on that, you can kind of find the best solution, which ultimately is the best informed decision for your project. And then just kind of quickly, the last poll for today. And this is just, again, I'll give it about 30 seconds to answer. It's just kind of what studies do you guys think you want to see more of? To kind of get an idea of, is this valuable or not? Now, these are just a few examples. There's a lot of varieties out there. One I'm actually busy looking at understanding a bit better is actually figuring out how to optimize placing views on sheets to reduce the amount of sheets generated on a project. There's about 10 more seconds for the last few people to vote. Okay, that's about everyone. Now, the results are more people are looking at space layout studies, which I think is quite a useful effect on this currently. A few architectural studies, and then a few environmental impact studies. A few people having a look at the COVID, and then some other, a handful of people looking at other custom studies. Yeah, so that's quite neat to see, and we'll definitely look at creating more webinars around this in the future. Now, just some additional resources, because I haven't seen the questions yet, but I know there's a few people who'll start asking, how do we get started with this? What can we do to, to learn more about it and things like that. The Dynamo Primer is a good starting point for just learning Dynamo in general. You got the Dynamo community that is very helpful in helping you resolve your issues or finding, or taking your scripts kind of to the next step. And then also there's a generative design primer that'll give you very much a comprehensive starting point when looking into kind of generative design and how it all relates to each other. We're going to just a little note, the BIM 360 design extended trial is available till the end of June. If anyone is still requiring some assistance or setting up a free hub for the last month or so, now we're going into level 3, so it might not be as critical anymore, but it's still available for anyone that still wants to maybe test it out and explore the process behind it. And then we'll start just having a look at the Q&A. So if you guys can just pop your questions into the Q&A section, we'll definitely answer that. I saw there was one. So I've got a question here from Alex. Can this be used to optimize roof design for solar? Yes, definitely. You can include sun studies into your generative design script. So it'll also look at the best time to rotate your building. If you've got any trees that's part of the object or obstructions, that'll start looking at where to leave out any spaces for panels or stuff like that. Just want to quickly navigate through the chat. I just want to say Peter LaRue, for view optimization, can we ask it to optimize views in a particular direction, or is it just going to look at the available windows in the room? You can optimize it for view generation. So you can do the inverse by saying, I've got a furniture piece inside the room, let's say my bed, and I want the optimized view to a statue sitting, maybe 20 meters outside my room, and it'll find the best place to put the window in relationship between the bed and the statue. From Jay, he has COVID. No, sorry guys, my throat is very dry. Sorry for all the coughing. Okay, let's answer that one. Is there any other questions you guys might have? No other questions. I'll just leave it for 30 seconds. So Jay just asked, is there a way to further expand the use case using Dynamo? So currently, I've just demoed how to use Dynamo Generative Design for the architect and interior space, but they're just a given kind of data set. But there is already a free sample set within the Generative Design Primer for MEP, where you can actually place your lights within a room to get the most effective lighting area for that room. So there's Tabella's question as well. Do you provide service to write script for clients? Yes, we do have. It is available. We also do Dynamo training. So you guys are more than welcome to reach out to us if you need any assistance or training around this. Okay, I think that is all the questions. I will still be available for chat questions. There's just a interesting video I want to share with you guys that is kind of talking about AI, machine learning, and generative design, and just kind of the future of making things from Autodesk side on how they're approaching this and what this is eventually leading towards. So you're more than welcome to stay and have a look at this, and also just pop me any questions in the chat and I'll answer it through there.
Architecture being this beautiful intersection of sort of art and science has two components. We have the creative, intuitive side, and we have the building performance side. As a student, when we went to design school, most designers went to school to study the creativity side of design. Nobody went to architecture school to fill in paperwork.
Today, designers are spending a lot of time manually creating design options. And AI, machine learning, generative design, all these different technologies provide us with the possibility of making that process faster and more efficient, the opportunity to not have to start from scratch again. AI, machine learning, tries to get the computer to learn from past behavior. And in our case, that is data.
So in the context of architecture and engineering, you can start feeding in documents to understand what is contained within those documents and have the machine make decisions for you faster based on the historical context.
Google Maps is actually a really good example of machine learning. You get like traffic, when we should leave, an estimated time, even for a trip that you're trying to take 10 days from now. It'll estimate based off of previous traffic patterns, past data. So if you can imagine your life before Google Maps, we use it and now we can't live without it. It's made our lives easier and made it so that we have a lot more information so that we can make better decisions in the moment. Data is going to be that for design and construction.
In generative design, what you do instead of designing and building in a linear process is you define the boundaries, you define the actual sort of metrics of the building, and within that space you can birth a whole series of different designs and then rank them against each other.
So that customers have the opportunity to see a whole bunch of different design options that can help them quickly narrow down their problem spaces faster.
And this can benefit everybody, not just the designer. If you start building in some of these metrics at the start of your design, then the building owner can start making more informed decisions and understand the outcomes faster. It also helps the environment and benefits when you start building in the understanding of materiality and cost and potentially how far away this material has to travel to get to your site into this algorithm at the outset.
They have outcomes that they want to get to, and they have the data. If you pair that with a generative design approach, then you can have a very powerful system that would be really beneficial in trying to build the optimal solution for their building.
Generative design is this beautiful symbiosis between man and machine. You have the human component at the front end making all the decisions and setting what they actually want to get as an outcome. You have them also at the tail end of the process where they evaluate those outcomes from the generative design process and choose the one that best fits. So the context here is AI machine learning is around making decisions from the past. Generative design is around birthing visions of the future. The bottom line here is what we're trying to do really is give more time back to the designer. And so what generative design does is it enables you to build an algorithm that starts to understand both art and science. So all of the boring, mundane tasks can start being taken away by the machine. Things around compliance, does fire egress drawings work correctly? Is my building going to stand up? All of these different kind of things a machine can actually do very, very well. And this is what we want to shift using generative design and AI ML. We want to have humans doing what is really good for humans and the things that we enjoy doing from a design perspective and take away some of the grunt work or the mundane work.
Thank you very much for everyone that has attended today. Any last questions you guys have? Floor's open. Okay. Thank you, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed the webinar on generative design. We will definitely look at doing more of them in the future. I think there's a need for that. Okay, and then have a good weekend, everyone. And then all be up early for Monday morning. Apparently, we can buy some wine again. Have a good weekend. Cheers.